Alright boys, now today we are going to discuss a little bit of interactions with the world. Now, in every game there's always doors, bombs, and all kinds of other stuff that you gotta interact with, and today we are going to discuss how to interact with some of them because I get sick and tired of not being able to use a door in Arcade. We need a door! So without further ado, I'm going to show you what we can achieve with this tutorial today. Now, the items that you can interact with, I had the crosshair go to yellow, and I have no... Oh, that's probably legit. I have something running in the background. Now, let's just not make this like a big old size. That's kind of crazy. Now, for our interaction, we can open and shut doors, okay, with the type key, the E thing or whatever, and you can open, shut, doesn't matter, don't care, it depends with the door for the animation on this one, okay. Now, opening doors is all fun and all, but what happens if if we're really far away or something? You can fix it where it's not so touchy when it comes to distance and things, but that's up to you. There is adjustments, and it is right down here. A script that we have not seen is take action. I have it on 1,000 right now. That way we can do whatever we want at big old distance. So if I want to come over here and go over here and pop this thing, bloop. If it doesn't have the script, it won't worry about it. Pop this one, pop this one. Pop these! Why not? Whoa, that was a big old lag spike. Of course, that's a lot of stuff going on at the same time. A big old explosion. So, yeah. Well, anyway. Since we have our good old interaction thing, let's try that one more time without the big old lag spike. Boom. Oh, and it goes full screen. I did upgrade and stuff, so I'm thinking I'll have to do some adjusting and stuff like that, but we can now interact with boxes and pop them open if we want, like so, and we can do explosives like this. I have trouble with these because I think it has something to do with the shape of it. There we go. The origins and stuff like that. But, it's the way it is, right? So, today's video, we're going to show how to do that. So, without further ado, since you know what we're going to go after, and this can work for anything. This system is designed so that you can use the concept of inheritance to work with any type of item, not just a single door or a bomb or something like that, but more or less pretty much anything you can think of. I mean, you can interact with a lot of different things. It's very easy to do so. So, without going too much into detail, right, all of a sudden, and blowing your mind with lots of information, let's go and take this little door and let's dissect it a little. It's just a basic door, okay, with the animator on it. Okay, the animator has open and close with a trigger, and that's pretty much it. Trigger, boom, boom. That's about it. I mean, it's really quite simple. It just opens and shuts with the animation. Okay, it's kind of a slow animation, but it's just basically that. It's not very complex at all. Take you like 5 minutes to make. Okay, now I have this cube here, which is our little button here. Okay, the hit the door, rise it up, raise it down. This is actually in the item layer, which I've changed a little bit in the layers tab. So we might have to, work with stuff a little bit on the layer stuff. Okay? And the whole rest of the door is, yeah, it is on item. It doesn't need to be on item. We'll do this, and then we change this to item, and this to item. You'll see why in a little while, okay? Now, in our layers tab, I've kind of done something with layers. I'm starting to use like the bottom ones and leave the top ones for maybe certain things, because you only get 32, okay? So I've got to make use of layers in a smart way, right? And the thing that we're using is we modified our UI managing thing. Now, you're going to see this game debugger thing. Don't worry about it. It's nothing too fancy or anything like that. But let's go look at it. We're going to look at some code here, and you're going to see some of the changes that we've made. Okay? This might become a two-part. Don't know yet. So in our managing class, we have our static references and images and all that stuff, which is fine. I mean, and then we have our ray casting, and then we have this new function, which is game layer, and we're passing it a game object. That's what this hit.transform.gameObject is. We're giving it a game object. Okay, now this game object could be anything. It doesn't care, because we're going to be using it in this function. Now you're going to see this value right here. This is just an item range. How far can it go to, check for items and things like that. I put 10. Seems like relatively close. But the other script will interact with it in more range if you want, if it's not very comfortable for you. This is just using it for detection and stuff, okay, for items itself. So you see this game layer. I thought it would be appropriate to call it game layer, because that's what we're doing, is using layers. And you're going to see this interact.layer. It's a game object. Okay, we're just using the overload the game object that we passed in from here, and we have a switch statement, and we're using the layer, which is an integer. Okay, but if you're really smart with layers and everything else, layers are nothing but integers, because in the background it's an enum. Okay, that's why it's very, very quick to use layers and stuff, because string comparing is very expensive. Anything dealing with strings is expensive, so you try to stay away from it, right? Because it's performance heavy as hell. So yeah. So this is just cases. So I've got a default case for the crosshair to be white, and then we have a case base layers .n, which is red, and then we have this base layers .item. These are all integers as well. Okay. So if distance to object is less than range object, we do this. Okay. And if it's not, it just does a regular old break. Now, every time the ray casts, we are getting distance to, the object, and we're using hit dot distance. Okay, so we get stuff, right? And it's a spear cast, and everybody's familiar with rays by now, and spear casting with physics. This will interact and use items, enemies, and nothing. So it's all the time just running. But it's only one. And the really good thing about using something like this is if we have one ray, we can have this change up what it does every single time. Like hit dot tag, hit dot name, hit dot GameObject. We're just reusing a ray that we're already using pretty much. Because it's a spear cast, ray cast. They're a little bit different when it comes to shape, but that's it. They're ray casts. So we're using this now for not only our crosshair detection, to change the crosshair, hey, is this a friendly? Is this an enemy? Is this nothing? But we're also sending it a GameObject now so it can do things. Okay? And this is what this player.object set interact is. And what this is, hey, this is an item. Okay? Because it's in our items layer. And if you know about this does not filter out any colliders whatsoever. We hit things and we don't care what it hits. We don't care if it hits us. We don't care if it hits anything. It just got to hit. It will return us the very first thing, always. Doesn't matter about anything. Just us right off the bat. No filtering. Because a lot of times we will use what we call a layer mask, which is fine for some things if you want to filter out one certain thing, but for this, it's none. It would be more of a pain to filter out stuff and things, because let's say we filtered out the wall, then we're shooting a spear cast and hit an item that's, there's a wall in front of it, so we could pick up an item that's, through a wall. That's kind of dumb, right? So we just hit everything and then let our switch sort out what to do. If it's enemy, change our crosshair to red. Maybe we can get some like range assistance or something, or maybe we send a message after like every minute that tells the enemy to taunt you. So bring it, There's a lot of things that we can do. Okay? So, and we have another variable. Where is it now? Slot player system equals player. And then we got, this is important. These two must be statics. Okay? Because here's the thing about it. There's only ever going to be one. Alright? And it doesn't matter if we had two players or whatnot. We can change up how it works, because we can go, hey, is this network identity ours? If it is, do it. Just a little bit more logic to check in between. Okay? So we both made these statics because we only need one. I mean, this is a UI. There's only ever going to be one player, always, even in a multiplayer, that uses a single, instance, a single UI. There's not going to be like 3 or 4 different UIs. That's dumb. Just reuse, unload, things like that for it. So we've got this, and we're using this to fill in a variable. That's all that it does. It fills in this variable right here, and we're doing this statically. That way we can just go directly to it. No no slot UI managing dot instance dot blah dot this dot that. We just go directly to it. Okay, so we're going to basically get rid of this stuff. Now to talk about the layers. The layers are perfectly legit things that's pretty easy. Okay, it's a regular C# script, and we're doing public constant integers, and we're filling them in directly. Okay. Now this won't, give you CG problems and stuff like that at all, or anything like that. Now, the class isn't doing much at all anyway, so it's just not a problem to use it like this. All right. I mean, I was using it perfectly fine if I wasn't recording and tapping out more of my CPU and things or whatnot. I could probably run. I was running the game at 60 frames, no problem, unless I had those big explosions going on. But to be fair, that explosion's a little bit bigger than what it should be. And even then, when it dropped, I was on a low-grade computer that had like a dual core, because most of the time I record in a dorm on a laptop, So to be fair, it probably would do better on a nice machine. But anyway, you can use this to push out layers so that you can do something like this with your layers. You just go interact.layers and then just go base.blend, and these are constants, so they're not manipulated at runtime or anything like that. Just pull them up. Okay. And that's not something. So let's talk about this basic trigger thing. This right here is the script that inherits from active act. Okay. This is what we're passing in to blow up crates and stuff like that. Now I have one requirement is we pass a GameObject. Now you're probably thinking, well, why do you have that? You're not even using it. I pass that in it because anytime you interact with the world, a lot of times game objects and stuff like that, it's got to communicate. Well, this pass only happens when I push the button, right? Or, whenever I call this function up. This happens once. So let's imagine this is a car or something in the game world, okay? In the car, I need for it to be the car to know, hey, this is my person, right? Or maybe I have a door that requires a certain key code. Or, let's say, or a certain item, okay? Key code, item, maybe it needs bullets or something. Maybe it's a turret and you can heal stuff. Who knows? Or you're fixing something. Like, let's say you're in some game and you're getting raided by a bunch of zombies or something. That's always cool. All right. So the part that you need, you're gonna have an inventory system of some kind. It's probably going to be attached to your player, right? And well, this basic trigger, what's it need to know? Hey, to trigger this event, you need a key code. Well, okay, you do a key code, right? You just go blah, 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 and you get the key code. And it's probably going to come out of your player, right? Well, this basic trigger is by itself. It's a self-made object, okay? It's like a regular script. On a regular script, you would have it do this. It would be a mono behavior. Well, instead of just doing a mono behavior, we're in the act. So anytime that we go up to an item, we can go get component act and then push the button on our controller or our keyboard, and then we just let this script do what it needs to do. If it needs anything from my inventory, it can go in here and go, I don't know, go dot get component, and we're just going to say event or slot player system. Okay, and before we do that, okay, so we need a slot system, right? Temp equals this. So now, because this is a script all by itself, it doesn't care about anything. When we go up to here and we do this, we can go get component, bam, there you go. It's an item. We get component of active act, okay? So we're basically, this is our active thing that we're interacting with, right? So this script right here just goes, hey, what do you, this is the event that gets fired off. All right, which this script is written for this purpose right here. If I wanted to do another one, all I got to do is make another script and inherit from this and fill in parameters like update and this and that. I mean, it's relatively really easy. I mean, let's before I get too on a tangent here, big in this one, let's go look at door. Okay, basic door. Okay, now this is the basic door. Okay, I inherit from active act. Okay, we got an animator, we've got a start here. Okay, and it does what it needs to. Maybe an on start and stop, you might need something for it. Who knows? This I'm using for a timer. Okay, and then we have the pass thing. Well, this pass thing, it doesn't care about the game object. It just wants to hit a trigger, okay? But over here in our basic trigger, it does something else. So we can make scripts to do certain things, but the interaction system doesn't care what it is. You see, we decoupled it, so we don't have one script going, hey, this can only interact with a car, okay? Or this one can only interact with a door, okay? And then you're probably like, well, why don't you just put all this on the door or the car or something of that nature? It works till you get NPCs and other stuff like that floating around, okay? You got an NPC, maybe you don't want him to walk into your teleport and teleport across the map, okay? Just because he's got a tag or something. And then, well, okay, so you're probably going to use on trigger enter, on trigger exit, or anything of that nature. Well, guess what? I don't have to use none of that crap. All I have to do is go pass and pass myself in. That's it. I don't have no trigger events or anything like that going on. So when my car gets into the game, I don't have to put a trigger there going, hey, does this crummy thing need a collider to do on trigger and exit? So I get rid of the physics almost altogether, because if you have something that uses on trigger enter and exit, well, guess what? It's going to do all those events when you're driving around with the physics, okay? So when you're driving around and right next to your door is an NPC, he's just sitting there using up your physics ticks. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, it's just like the example that I gave of decoupling the fixed update in such a way and using lists to do a spear cast on all the turrets that I had in my tower defense game. Okay, that technique that I developed for detection of enemies, that can also be used in this game, which I probably will get into, to get a detection system that the NPCs doesn't really need to know anything about. All they care about is if they have an enemy, we change the state that they're in to attacking us. Okay? Shooting and all that good stuff. Okay? And then if it ever comes up null, guess what? It goes back to a different state altogether that doesn't care about anything besides waypoints or just random positions on the nav mesh. So it's quite decoupled. And we could do anything with it. Okay, inventory system. Hey, maybe you want item pickups. Well, guess what? This will work great for item pickups. Now, I'm not saying that we've got anything for a menu and any type of collection yet, but later on, when we do how do we save ammo and stuff like that, well, guess what? When we do that, we are going to have maybe blocks or something that we can set on the ground, or maybe how many mines you can carry or something. There'll be inventory of some type someday, just not today, because we have to get through the other stuff. So we talked about the layers, we talked about the door, we talked about the menu here. Okay. And that's basically the interaction system besides the last script. And I think I'm going to leave that for the next part because there's a lot of stuff into that. And I don't want this video to be too long. So I hope you guys liked it, and part 2 will probably be up like a little bit while from now, like maybe a day or so. So, and 2, I got class in about 30 minutes. I like to get ready and eat and stuff. So, take care, guys, and I hope you liked the video, and like, hit subscribe, and I'll hit you guys with the next part as soon as possible, because I'm pretty sure you guys are going to like it. So, peace and take care.